I got the text at 2:13 a.m. Come home, now. Leo needs you. That was it. No please, no context. Just an order. I was sitting in a dim booth in a quiet Manhattan bar, the remnants of a celebration still lingering in the air. The night had been perfect. I'd just been offered the creative director role at one of the most respected agencies in New York, a dream I had clawed toward for a decade. Ethan glanced at my screen, frowned, and pushed another glass of bourbon toward me. Don't do it, he said flatly. This is your life, Dan. Don't let them pull you back again. He wasn't wrong, but the weight of family obligation doesn't lift with logic. My name is Daniel Gibson. I'm 29, a hard worker, a planner, a fixer. For years, I've been the glue that holds together a family that never even realized I was cracking under the pressure. Leo, my younger brother, has always been the soft one, sensitive, coddled. And my dad, Thomas, he practically engineered it that way. When I called, Dad answered like he'd been waiting. Your brother's job is on the line. He's in no state to figure things out alone. He needs you here. And frankly, I don't understand why you wouldn't be here already. I live in New York now, Dad. You're choosing a job over your family? No, I said. I'm choosing myself. That silence he gave me? It was colder than any argument we'd ever had. You come back, or don't bother coming back at all. I didn't reply. I looked across the table at Ethan. His face was calm, but I could tell he was ready to drive me to the airport if I blinked wrong. I'm not going back, I said out loud for the first time. And just like that, everything inside me realigned. My spine straightened. My lungs remembered how to breathe. I pulled out my laptop. I booked a one-way flight. And then I opened a blank document, a letter to the people who had mistaken my love for obedience one too many times. Tomorrow, they'd wake up and realize I was gone, that Leo would have to find his own footing, that the family fixer had finally put down the glue bottle. But tonight I had something to say. I wrote the letter in one sitting. The words came quicker than I expected, not rushed, but sharp, deliberate. A decade of quiet swallowing and silent compromises pouring out like steam from a pressure valve I didn't even know was still clamped shut. I started with the truth. Dear Dad and Leo, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. Not missing, not in danger, just choosing, finally, to live my own life. Ethan sat across from me, reading every word as I wrote. He didn't interrupt, just nodded from time to time like a witness to something sacred. I wrote about the guilt, about how every time Leo had a meltdown over something trivial, from botching a group project in college, to the time he locked himself out of his apartment, I was the one who dropped everything. Even when I had deadlines, even when I was building the career none of you ever really believed in. I wrote about how, when I got my first promotion, the one that actually paid rent without panic, Dad didn't say, "Congratulations." He said, "That's nice, but your brother's really struggling with his grad school apps. Can you help him prioritize?" I wrote, "Dad, you told me family comes first. But what you meant was Leo comes first. Every single time. And me? I'm just the insurance plan, the fail-safe, the son who doesn't complain, the one who always understands. Well, one understand now. I'm not your backup plan. I'm not Leo's safety net. I'm a person, with limits, with dreams. And they matter too." I paused when I got to the end. My hands were shaking, not with fear, but with the strange stillness that follows clarity. The moment when something heavy finally detaches from your shoulders and hits the floor behind you with a thud. Ethan read it twice, then looked up and said, "It's not too much, it's just right." We printed it, folded it. No dramatic tears, no rage, just the quiet kind of power that grows when you finally speak your piece. The next morning, just before sunrise, I took a cab to my family's house in Indianapolis. Same porch swing, same neatly trimmed yard, same silence that always seemed to say, "This is what's expected of you. Sit down, be good, fix things." I left the letter on the kitchen table, right where Dad makes his coffee, right where Leo would whine about his passwords and resumes and life. And then I walked out. No note on the fridge, no goodbye, just the letter, just my name. And finally, my freedom. The city greeted me like an old friend I hadn't seen in years, loud, indifferent, and full of light. 3 weeks into my new life, and I still found myself pausing in doorways, half expecting someone to call me back, to stop me, to remind me that I wasn't supposed to do this, not without permission. But no one stopped me. And that silence? It was the kindest thing my family had ever given me. My studio apartment in Brooklyn was tiny, creaky, and absolutely perfect. Every inch of it screamed mine. My books, my coffee mugs, my ugly throw blanket. I'd furnished it slowly, a lamp here, a plant there, nothing extravagant. Just things that made me feel grounded. The job was everything I'd hoped for. Fast-paced, intense creative chaos. My boss, Sophia, was sharp in a way that didn't cut you but shaped you. She didn't hover or coddle. She handed me the reins and said, "Don't mess it up." I thrived on that kind of trust. One Monday afternoon, after presenting a pitch that somehow got Nike to request a follow-up, Sophia pulled me aside. "You've got a great mind, Daniel," she said, peering over her glasses. "But your phone's been buzzing like a slot machine. You need to deal with whatever that is, or it's going to deal with you." I nodded, hesitating. My phone had been buzzing, non-stop. Since I left, 43 missed calls from Dad, dozens of texts from Leo, even voicemails from extended relatives I hadn't spoken to in years, all playing the same tired tune, "You hurt your family. Come fix it." I'd kept the phone on silent, but I hadn't been able to bring myself to block them. That night, I gave in. The first voicemail was from Leo. His voice was thick, slurred, not with alcohol but self-pity. "Dan, I lost the job. They said I was missing deadlines. Dad's freaking out. I can't deal with all this. Can you please come home? I don't know what to do." Delete. Another from Dad. "This is ridiculous, Daniel. You left us to clean up your mess. Your brother needs you. Your mother's worried sick. You were always the dependable one. Always the strong one." Delete. And finally, a text from Leo, "I hate you for this," followed 10 minutes later by another, "Sorry, I don't. I don't know how to be without you." I didn't respond. Instead, I texted Ethan. "Me, they're trying to guilt me again." Ethan, delete, block, breathe. Me, Leo's falling apart. Ethan, and that is not your job to fix. Me, he says he doesn't know how to do life without me. Ethan, time for him to learn. That weekend, I walked the High Line with Ethan, coffee in hand, the air sharp with the coming winter. "They think I'm heartless," I muttered. "No," he said. "They think you're theirs." The words lodged in my chest, because he was right. My whole life had been spent performing family, not living it. Back at work, Sophia handed me the Nike Europe file with a half smile. "Big opportunity," she said. 3-month expansion project in Paris. They want us to lead it. You're the first name I gave them. I froze. Paris, big stage, big client, big expectations, she said. "You in?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Again, Dad. And this time, I picked up. His voice was quieter than usual. "Daniel, we need to talk." I walked out of the office and found an empty hallway. "What's going on?" he sighed. "I had a heart attack. Mild, they say, but serious enough. I felt the ground shift under me. Why didn't anyone call sooner? Because I told them not to. I wanted to be the one to tell you. And I didn't want you to come back out of guilt." That stunned me into silence. "There's more," he said. "The business is struggling. And Leo, he's stepping up, believe it or not. He's been helping, learning payroll, answering phones." My grip tightened on the railing next to me. "He's still got a long way to go, but something changed when you left." "Is Mum okay?" I asked. "She's trying. Seeing a therapist. Said she started because she kept dreaming that you never came back." I laughed, bitterly. "That was her nightmare?" "No," he said quietly. "That was her wake-up call." We stayed on the line for a while. No yelling, no guilt. Just honesty. Fragile, unfamiliar honesty. "You coming home?" he asked eventually. "Not yet," I said. "Maybe not for a while." He was quiet again. Then, "We'll manage." After I hung up, I walked back into Sophia's office and looked at the Paris folder again. "I'm in," I told her. "Let's take it global." That night, as I packed, I got a text from Leo. "Heard about Paris. Congrats. I mean it." I stared at the message for a long time. I didn't know what to say. Not yet. But I felt it, the shift. Not a perfect fix, but a start. They were learning to live without me, and I was learning to breathe without them. Finally, the knock came late. Tuesday, 11:03 p.m. I wasn't expecting anyone. I'd just returned from the office. Another late-night pitch review, prepping for Paris, and had barely kicked off my shoes when it started. Not a buzzer, not a text, an actual knock. Like someone had taken the train across state lines just to bring the drama to my doorstep. I checked the peephole. Leo. Standing in the hallway of my Brooklyn apartment, wearing a hoodie 3 sizes too big, carrying a suitcase that looked brand new and completely unnecessary. His hair was unkempt, his eyes puffy, and his expression screamed, "I've run out of options." I opened the door, bracing myself. "Hey," he said, his voice small. "Can I come in?" I stepped aside. "You already did." He dropped the suitcase like it weighed nothing, sank into my couch like it was familiar, looked around like he was judging it. "Kinda small, huh?" There it was, the first jab. Not even 5 seconds in, I folded my arms. "What are you doing here, Leo?" He exhaled dramatically. "Mum and Dad are being impossible. They froze my cards, took my car, said if I want help, I have to earn it." "Imagine that," I said flatly. He waved it off. "I just need a place to crash for a bit. A week, maybe 2. I didn't sit. I didn't move. No." "What do you mean, no?" He blinked. "I mean exactly that. You can't stay here." His mouth fell open. "We're brothers." "Yes. And that's exactly why I'm not letting you in like this." He stood. "This is insane. I'm not asking for a handout. That's literally what this is, Leo. You came here with no plan, no job, and a designer suitcase full of avoidance. You want me to fix your life. Again. I just need time to figure things out." "No, you need to grow up." He turned away, pacing. "You don't get it, Dan. I'm not like you. You've always had it together. You're the smart one, the independent one, the favourite son who moved to New York and got fancy. I've never been that guy." I stayed quiet, let the words fill the room. He had more to say, clearly. "I didn't ask to be the screw-up," he continued. "I didn't want to disappoint everyone. I got used to you fixing things. And when you left," his voice cracked slightly, "I didn't know what to do." "You weren't supposed to," I said. "That was the point." He stopped pacing. I left because I needed a life that was mine. Not just an extension of your mistakes. That's not fair. No, what's not fair, I said, stepping forward, is missing my own college graduation because you had a meltdown about failing intro econ. What's not fair is working 3 jobs while you took a semester off to find yourself in Bali. What's not fair is that every time something goes wrong in your life, I'm expected to rearrange mine. Leo sat back down, slower this time, deflated. I didn't realize, he mumbled. Because you never had to. Silence. Real silence. Not the loaded kind. Just absence. Finally. He rubbed his eyes. I'm trying, I've been showing up for Dad's business. I figured out how to submit payroll last week. I haven't missed a day. I blinked. That's good. I even told Mom to back off when she started guilt-tripping me about you. He looked up. She's in therapy now. Can you believe that? I actually laughed. No, but I'll take your word for it. He picked at the sleeve of his hoodie. I guess I came here because I wanted you to see it. That I'm trying. And you thought showing up unannounced, asking to crash at my place, was proof? I thought maybe you'd be proud of me, he admitted, voice raw. That stung, because part of me still wanted to be the brother who could help, the one who had answers. But I'd been that guy for too long, and it had nearly broken me. I walked to the door, opened it. He looked up, confused. You're kicking me out? I'm giving you a choice. There's a hotel 2 blocks away. It's clean, decent, not cheap, but if you've really been working, you can afford it. Or you can take a cab back to Indy. Your call. He stared at the floor. You really won't let me stay? I love you, Leo, but that's why I can't. Because love that keeps enabling you, that's not love, that's convenience. He stood up, picked up his suitcase, slower this time, as if it finally had weight. At the door, he turned back. What if I fail? Then you'll learn, like the rest of us. He nodded once, just once, then left. I closed the door, sat down, and shook. I didn't feel heroic. I felt hollow. Like I'd carved out a piece of myself and left it in the hallway. 10 minutes later, I got a text from him. Booked the hotel. I'll figure it out. Then another. Thanks for saying no. I think I needed it. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Instead, I looked at my Paris itinerary. 3 weeks to go. And for the first time since I got the offer, I wasn't worried about what I was leaving behind. I was finally facing forward. 6 weeks into the Paris campaign, I got the call. Dad's second heart attack. It was worse than the first. Bypass surgery. Immediate. I didn't hesitate. I flew home. The moment I stepped into the hospital hallway, I almost didn't recognize Leo. He was standing by a nurse's station, in slacks and a button down, a laptop tucked under one arm, phone glued to his ear. Yeah, he said into the receiver. I've got the insurance codes. I'm sending over the file now. We need to push that claim before noon. He turned, saw me, and paused. Then hung up. Hey, he said, you look employed, he chuckled. Sleep deprived, stressed. But yeah, I guess one am. How bad is it? Triple bypass. They're confident. But it's going to be a long recovery. I nodded. How's Mom? Overwhelmed. She keeps baking. I think the ICU staff is about 3 muffins away from staging a protest. We sat in the waiting room. The TV overhead was tuned to a muted nature documentary, but no one was watching. Leo sighed, rubbing his eyes. I've been doing everything. Payroll, invoices, coordinating with the contractors. I think I've aged 10 years in a month. You did all that? I didn't have a choice. Dad went down and, well, there was no you. There was no bitterness in his voice, just truth. He leaned back. I thought I'd drown, but I didn't. I figured it out. I'm proud of you, Leo. His head dropped slightly at the words. Thanks, he said, voice soft. Later, in Dad's hospital room, I found Mom sitting beside his bed, holding his hand like she was afraid he'd float away if she let go. When she saw me, she stood and, to my shock, hugged me tightly. I'm sorry, she whispered. For everything. I blinked. You're really seeing a therapist? She laughed, watery and cracked. Yeah, turns out control issues are a thing. Dad stirred awake, smiled weakly. My boys, together again. We're here, Leo said. Everything's handled. The office, the paperwork. Even the new intern. Dad's voice was rough. Did you train them to disappear too? Leo laughed. No, just to do their own damn job. Dad turned to me. You still going back to Paris? I don't have to, no, he interrupted. You do. That's your life, Daniel. You earned it. A week later, I was back in Brooklyn, unpacking. Paris was on pause. Sophia agreed. I'd lead the New York base for now. I was just settling in when Leo called. Hey, he said, voice energized. You free next weekend? For what? Come home. We're renaming the company. Thought you should be there. The company? Yeah, he said, a grin audible through the phone. You're part of it, whether you like it or not. The new logo outside the office read Gibson and Gibson Creative. Inside, things had changed. The reception desk no longer had the dusty family photo. It had a sleek screen cycling through recent campaign stats. The walls were painted, the vibe modern. Leo met me at the door. He wore a tailored navy suit and carried a folder labelled NYC Expansion. We're opening a branch, he said. And you're running it as co-partner. Wait, what? He handed me the folder. Sophia reached out. She and I have been talking. Of course they had. Why? Because you were right, he said. About everything. And I don't want to run this alone. I want to build something real with you. As equals. My throat tightened. No strings attached, he added. We keep our own lives. We keep our cities. But we build this together. I looked at the folder. The numbers were clean. The strategy tight. The potential massive. But more than that, it felt right. Not like a rescue mission. Not like I was being dragged back into the family fold. This was something new, something earned. 6 months later, we signed the lease for the NYC office. Mom catered the launch party with a spread that could feed a wedding. Dad, finally retired, gave a heartfelt speech that made half the staff cry. And Leo? He stood at the front of the room, confident and calm, and toasted to the future. To boundaries, he said, raising his glass. And to the brother who taught me how to live without them, so I could finally stand beside him, not behind. I looked around at this strange, beautiful evolution of my family. They hadn't just changed, they'd grown. And so had I. Not into someone new, but into who I was always meant to be, once I stopped setting myself on fire to keep everyone else warm. Story 2, let me set the scene for you. My name's Elise. I'm 38, married to a guy named Cole, and I've been silently surviving his family for the better part of a decade. If you've ever sat through a holiday dinner, wondering why you're the only one not in on the joke, you'll get this. His mum, Linda, has never liked me. That's not paranoia, it's years of data. She's polite in the way you'd expect from someone who's studied etiquette manuals, like their scripture. But behind every smile is a pointed jab wrapped in passive aggression and topped with a Martha Stewart-worthy bow. When Cole and I were dating, things seemed fine, normal even. His family was friendly in that sunny Midwestern way, firm handshakes, casserole dishes, and excessive thank yous. But the moment I became his fiancée, it was like someone flipped a switch. Suddenly, I was no longer Elise, the sweet girl from Chicago. I was Elise, the interloper with weird food and questionable taste. Then came Mia, my sister-in-law, married to Cole's brother, Tyler. Picture a lifestyle blogger with an endless rotation of cozy sweaters and kids who somehow never have food on their faces. Mia is the golden one. Her pumpkin pies get standing ovations. Her handmade ornaments just feel more festive. She can post a grainy photo of a coffee cup and get 300 likes in 10 minutes. And Linda? She dotes on her like she's royalty. The first time I brought my family's sweet potato casserole to Thanksgiving, I caught Linda scrunching her nose as I placed the dish on the table. "Oh," she said with a tight smile. "That's unique." We usually stick to traditional family recipes. Traditional meaning anything Mia brings. The hits kept coming. One Christmas, the first spent weeks knitting a blanket for her. When she opened it, Linda gave a polite nod and said, "Oh, how quaint. Cole, show her the heated throw we just got from Williams, Sonoma." Every time I brought something to share, food, gifts, conversation, it was met with a condescending pat on the head and a reminder that I was not one of them. Mia could walk in with boxed cookies and Linda would practically nominate her for sainthood. Cole? He didn't see it, or didn't want to. "She's just old-fashioned," he'd say. "Don't take it personally." But I did, because it was personal. One year, Linda and Mia hosted a planning call for Thanksgiving at Mia's new cabin in Colorado. It was supposed to be a meaningful family event, whatever that meant. I joined the Zoom a few minutes early and, with my camera off, caught Linda saying, "You know, Mia, you're the daughter I always dreamed of." Mia laughed, then paused. "Elise is here." They both went silent. That was it. No screaming, no fight, just a moment of clarity. I sat there, staring at the screen, realizing I'd spent years trying to earn a seat at a table where I wasn't welcome. So I did something no one saw coming. I cancelled my ticket, took the money we saved for flights and gifts, and booked a trip to Santa Fe, just me. Spa, sun, and solitude. 2 days before Thanksgiving, the first sent a single message to the group chat. Change of plans. "I won't be coming this year. Wishing everyone a peaceful holiday. Elise." Then I turned off my phone. For the first time in years, I breathed. I ordered room service in a hotel robe, got a hot stone massage, sat by myself on a patio with a book, and let the quiet wrap around me like armor. No fake smiles. No passive-aggressive praise. Just me, my own company, and the kind of peace I didn't know I'd been starving for. When I turned my phone back on, 43 messages. "Cole, where are you?" "Linda, this is incredibly rude. Mia put so much into this." "Tyler, seriously? You bailed without even calling?" "Mia, photo of her picture, perfect dining table. Guess we'll eat enough for you too." Cole was furious. When I got home, he barely spoke to me, just stared at his phone, arms crossed. "You embarrassed my family," he finally said. I looked at him and replied, "I took a break from being humiliated by them. We're not the same." He didn't argue. He just left the room. A week later, Linda called me. For the first time ever. Not Cole. Not a group chat. Me. "I hope your little vacation was worth it," she began. I said nothing. "You hurt a lot of people." Mia was crying. "Cole is ashamed of you, and you couldn't even explain yourself. That's not how adults behave." I took a deep breath and finally said, "I didn't run away, Linda. I left. There's a difference." Then I hung up. That weekend, I found out Linda hosted a brunch for Cole and our 2 kids. No invite for me. I only knew because my 6-year-old asked. "Mom, why didn't you come to Grandma's?" I looked at Cole. He looked at the floor. "You took the kids without telling me?" "I didn't want another fight," he said. "You started one by lying," I snapped. The next day, Mia posted a family brunch photo with the caption, "Sometimes, the best family is the one that shows up. No tags, no names. Just sharp enough to cut." That's when it hit me. I wasn't being excluded passively anymore. They were pushing me out, quietly rewriting the story, so I looked like the flake, the drama queen, the problem. I wasn't about to let that narrative take root, so I made a new plan, not a tantrum, not a confrontation, something smarter, something they'd never see coming. I wish I could say I hatched some master revenge plan overnight, but it wasn't like that. It was slower, quieter, like pulling back a bowstring and waiting not to hurt anyone, just to be heard for once, to not feel invisible. After that Christmas brunch stunt, something in me clicked. Linda wasn't just dismissing me anymore. She was doing it in front of my kids, teaching them through her actions that their mum wasn't part of the real family. And Cole? He was letting it happen. That was the part that stung the most. It all came to a head the day my 10-year-old saw an email over my shoulder. Linda had sent out a formal, gold-trimmed Christmas dinner invite, the kind you get for weddings. At the bottom, in fancy script, it read, "All welcome. Let's act like adults. No drama this year." My son looked at it, then asked, "Why does Grandma say you're not real family?" I froze. "What did you hear?" He shrugged. "She said only real family gets to light the tree." My stomach dropped, the kind of drop you feel when the air leaves the room and doesn't come back. This wasn't just snide comments anymore. This was her carving out space between me and my children, planting little ideas, making them question why their mum wasn't in the family photos, or why I didn't light the tree. That night, Cole came home late. I waited. I needed him to say something, anything. Instead, he ate in silence, scrolled through his phone like nothing was wrong. So I finally said, "You know your mum told our son I'm not real family." He blinked. "What?" "She said only real family gets to light the tree." He looked confused, like he didn't want to believe it. "She probably didn't mean it like that." I stared at him. "That's the problem. You keep saying that, every time. She didn't mean it. It's just how she is, but you never ask how I feel about it." He didn't answer, so I made another quiet decision. I wasn't going to let Linda tell my kids who counts as family, and I sure as hell wasn't going to let Cole sit on the sidelines anymore. Linda's church is this small, tight-knit place in Maple Ridge. She's involved in everything women's ministry, bake sales, the Christmas drive. She's practically a local celebrity there. So when I heard Mia was leading Christmas prayer this year, I thought, let's see how spiritual she really is. I called the pastor Pastor Allen. He'd married Cole and me, so we weren't strangers. I asked if the church was still doing their charity drive. He said yes. I asked if the donation messages still got printed in the Christmas Eve bulletin. Again, yes. I told him I'd like to donate anonymously gifts, essentials, a holiday meal for a local family, and I had a special note I wanted to include. He agreed. Didn't even blink. Christmas Eve, the bulletin came out. Inside, on page 4, there was a list of anonymous donors. One note stood out. Donated in honor of the women who are never called real family, but show up anyway. Who pack the bags, cook the meals, keep the peace even when they're not invited to the table. I didn't expect it to go anywhere. Just wanted to leave a mark. A quiet one. But someone took a photo and posted it on Facebook. Within hours, it was floating around Linda's circle. People were speculating, whispering. A few comments popped up said, "Sounds familiar. About time someone said it." Linda messaged me. Really? At church? I didn't respond. She messaged again. You're making this all public now. Still nothing from me. Finally, we see what you're doing, and it's sad. I almost laughed. Because for years she made me feel like I was the sad one, desperate, outsider, clinging to a place I didn't belong. And then, the wildest twist, I got a call from Tyler, Mia's husband. We don't talk, like ever. So I almost didn't answer. But curiosity got me. Hey, he said, voice low. I saw the bulletin. I stayed quiet. I just wanted to say, I think what you did took guts. I blinked. Excuse me? He sighed. I didn't know how bad it was. I mean, I knew Mom could be intense. And Mia's always competing with everyone. But I didn't realize they were treating you like that. I didn't say anything. Then he dropped it. Mia's not the same since the cabin trip. Everything's performative now. Our marriage, it's hanging by a thread. He didn't have to say more. I got the message. Linda, apparently, had cried in church when someone handed her a printed copy of the bulletin with the message highlighted. She didn't cry when she iced me out. When she invited my husband and kids to brunch and left me home. When she told my kids I wasn't real family. But now, when her name was on the line, waterworks. Later that night, my son asked me why Grandma looked sad at church. Did you do something mean? I knelt next to him. No, baby. Sometimes people say unkind things when they're scared. Sometimes they choose favourites, even when they shouldn't. He looked confused. So you're not bad? I smiled. No, sweetie. I'm just not in their favourite club. That's all. He nodded and went back to colouring. And that was it. The simplest conversation, but it lifted something off my chest. A few days before Christmas, Linda sent out another invite. Not an email, a full-on, glittery snail mail card. This Christmas, we heal. All welcome. Let's act like adults. No drama. It sat on my counter for days. I wasn't planning on going. My sister had already prepped a cosy, no-pressure dinner for me and the boys. But something kept whispering in the back of my mind. What if this is the only chance they'll ever hear you? I didn't RSVP. I just showed up. Christmas Day, 4:15 p.m. I stood on the porch of Linda's house holding a tin of cookies. Not because I wanted to bring something sweet, just needed something in my hands to keep them from shaking. I hadn't told anyone I was coming. Didn't text Cole. Didn't warn the group chat. I just walked up and rang the bell. Mia opened the door. Her smile cracked the second she saw me. You came? She said, like it was a question and a complaint all in one. I nodded. The invite said all were welcome. She stepped back without saying a word. I walked in. The house looked like a catalogue again. Garland on every railing, candles that probably hadn't even been lit but matched the napkins, and a table setting that looked like it took 2 Pinterest boards to plan. Cole was already there. I knew from the 2 little pairs of boots by the door. He hadn't said a word to me all day, not even a Merry Christmas. I spotted Linda in the kitchen, pouring cider into delicate glasses, acting like the queen of everything. Then she turned, and there I was. Her face froze halfway into a smile. Elise, she said, the name sounding like it hurt her mouth. Linda, I replied, even and calm. My kids came running to me like they hadn't seen me in weeks. My youngest wrapped around my leg, and I kissed the top of his head. Cole stood across the room, looking somewhere between surprised and guilty. Dinner started. People made small talk, complimented dishes no one actually liked, and gave that nervous laugh you hear when everyone's trying too hard. Mia showed off her new watch. Tyler nodded, eyes empty. Cole barely looked up. Then it came. From across the table, Linda's cousin Margaret, the one who lives for drama. and smells it, like wolves smell blood. "So, Elise," she said, swirling her wine, "that little message in the church bulletin, that was you, wasn't it?" I didn't flinch. Yes, it was. The room fell quiet. Mia let out a sharp laugh. "Of course it was. Because nothing's ever enough for you." I turned to her, still calm. "You mean like how nothing I bring is ever enough for your mum?" Linda snapped. "This isn't the place." "No," I said, still seated, still steady. "This is the perfect place. I've been quiet for years while you all decided how welcome I was based on whether my salad had cranberries." She slammed her napkin down. "You always make yourself the victim. You were never excluded. You just didn't try." I looked her in the eye. "I did try. I just stopped begging when it became clear I would never be your daughter or your equal." Then, before anyone else could speak, my oldest 10 years old, brave beyond his years, stood up from the kids' table. He looked at the room, then said, "Grandma said Mommy wasn't real family. That's why I didn't like the tree." Silence. Linda turned a colour I've never seen on a human. I didn't mean it like that." Tyler looked at Mia. "Did you really say that?" Mia rolled her eyes. "He's a kid. He probably misunderstood." My son looked at me. Was I wrong? I knelt beside him. "No, baby. You were honest. You said what you heard." Then I looked up. "This is what happens when you whisper poison and think no one hears you, but they do. Especially the ones who matter most." Linda started crying. Not the kind of cry that comes from guilt. The kind that comes from shame and exposure. She got up and left the room. Mia followed her, muttering about how I ruined Christmas. Again, Margaret broke the silence. "Well, that was overdue." Tyler got up and started helping the kids with dessert, like nothing happened. Cole stayed seated across from me, stunned. Then he whispered, "Why didn't you tell me it was this bad?" I didn't even blink. "I did. You just didn't hear it until someone else said it loud enough for you." He looked down. No excuses this time. I packed up the kids' overnight bags and started toward the door. Cole followed. In the driveway, he asked, "Are you leaving me?" I stopped. "No, but I'm not staying stuck anymore. If you want this to work, you'll need to start showing up, not just physically, emotionally." He nodded, but it felt like someone nodding in a storm, hoping the rain stops without reaching for an umbrella. We spent the rest of the holiday at my sister's. Just us, no matching napkins, no judgment. Just laughter, hot cocoa, and peace. My kids helped make cookies with too much frosting. We watched cartoons. We built a snowman with a crooked smile, and it was perfect. A few days later, I got an email from Linda. "It's clear our differences are too big to ignore. We won't be extending invitations moving forward. I wish you well. No apology, no reflection." Just a door quietly shut. I didn't reply. Mia blocked me on everything. Not a loss. Cole started going to therapy with me, weekly. He's learning how to listen. I'm learning how to speak without asking for permission. And no, I don't regret going to that dinner. I don't regret the message in the church bulletin. I don't even regret the years I tried to fit in. Because I finally understand I wasn't the problem. I was just the only one pretending there wasn't one. Maybe Linda and I will never talk again. Maybe that chapter's done. And maybe that's not a tragedy, it's a gift. A clean slate. What I know for sure is this. I walked into a house that tried to erase me, and I left with the truth ringing in every corner of that perfect, cold living room. Sometimes the real revenge isn't rage. It's clarity. It's letting people sit at the table they built, surrounded by the bitterness they served, and finally making them taste it. Every bite, cold and unseasoned, just the way they like it. Story 3. I've always believed that silence can be more powerful than words. But that night, sitting in a dimly lit steakhouse, while my sister-in-law mocked me, and my husband laughed along, I realized silence could also be betrayal. My name's Lila. I'm 35, and for the past 6 years, I've been married to Jason. His sister, Claire, is the kind of woman who walks into a room and expects the temperature to adjust to her liking. Ever since I became part of their family, she made sure I knew I didn't belong. At first, it was subtle. Jason's always had a thing for women like you, she'd say with a sugary tone that didn't match her narrowed eyes. It's cute. He gets bored eventually, though. Little digs at holidays. Snide remarks at business dinners. And Jason? He never defended me. Not once. Just laughed and moved on, like her words weren't little blades slicing into me. One smug smirk at a time, but I swallowed it. Told myself it didn't matter, that Jason loved me, that Claire was just bitter and lonely. Then came that night, Jason's birthday. Claire had chosen the venue, naturally. An upscale steakhouse downtown, all moody lighting and overpriced wine. One of those places where if you ask the price, you probably can't afford it. Jason's parents were there, a few friends, work colleagues. Everyone laughing, drinking, passing around stories and steaks. Claire waited until my guard was down, until I was smiling. "You know," she said, swirling her wine and locking eyes with me. "You're just a placeholder. Jason will get tired of you." The table went quiet, and then Jason, my husband, chuckled. He laughed. Not even a nervous laugh, just amused, like it was some quirky little quip from his sister. Like it wasn't a public slap across my face. I didn't cry, didn't argue. I just smiled. Because in that moment, I stopped caring what they thought of me. I realized something crucial. They thought I was weak. They had no idea. Claire worked for the family business, a luxury renovation firm their father built from the ground up. Jason always claimed to oversee operations, but let's be honest, he was more of a mascot than a manager. What neither of them knew, what no one knew, was that I owned 51% of that company. Jason's dad trusted me, said I was the only one with enough foresight to keep it afloat. Before he passed, he quietly transferred majority shares to me. Jason knew I helped with the paperwork, but he never bothered reading the fine print. Claire didn't even suspect. So, while she was sipping $1,000 wine and smirking at me across the table, I was already planning her exit. Over the next few weeks, I gathered everything: paperwork, approvals, legal signatures. I met with the board, lined up replacements, reworked the budget, and then on a quiet Wednesday afternoon, I walked into the office and started flipping switches. Claire was removed from every project. Her company credit cards, disabled. Access to financials, gone. And then I sent one email, effective immediately. Claire Davis is no longer employed at Lux Renovations. It took her 14 minutes to call me, straight to voicemail. Jason texted 5 minutes later, then called. Ignored. I was sitting in her office chair when she stormed in, heels clicking like gunshots. She looked like she was ready to breathe fire. "You can't fire me!" she snapped, eyes wild. "Oh, but I did," I said, calmly sliding a folder toward her. "You should read this." She skimmed the documents. Her face went pale. "This isn't real. It's very real," I replied. "Your father left me control. I own the company now. And you're out." She turned to Jason, who had followed her in, looking just as stunned. "You knew about this?" Jason stammered something useless. His mouth opened, then closed. Like a fish out of water, I picked up my bag and gave them both a polite smile. "Oh, and Claire," I said, pausing at the door, "might want to check your bank account." And then I walked out. By the time I got home, Claire had already logged in. The scream that followed? I wish I'd recorded it. She'd been using the company's credit card, like it was her personal wallet designer handbags, luxury spas, weekend getaways, all gone. The cards were frozen. Her lifestyle, cancelled. Claire always lived for optics. She needed to look successful. She never realised the business was what floated her illusion. Now, she had nothing to fall back on. And Jason, he wasn't much better. He had his own little secrets. That night, he stormed into our home, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the frames. "What the hell did you do?" he barked. I didn't flinch, just sipped my wine. "You'll have to be more specific." "You fired Claire. She's locked out of everything. And the money she says her cards don't work. Do you know how bad this looks?" I set my glass down slowly. "You mean like every time she humiliated me in front of your family, your colleagues? You never thought that looked bad. That's different," he shot back. "Sure," I said. "Different because now you're affected." Jason ran a hand through his hair, pacing like a trapped animal. He wasn't just angry, he was panicking. "What else did you do?" he asked, voice low. I smiled. "Why don't you check your bank accounts?" He did. And just like Claire, he went dead silent when the numbers loaded. "What the?" he muttered. I took another sip. "That money? It wasn't yours? It was the company's. The one you've been bleeding for years." Jason's face twisted. "I earned that money." "No," I said, standing up. "You stole it. And worse, you used it to support Vanessa." His eyes snapped to mine. The room went still. Checkmate. Vanessa, the name I'd traced through wire transfers, lease payments, and monthly consulting invoices. The same Vanessa tied to a condo I'd never seen but was being paid for by our business. He didn't deny it. He didn't have to. The truth sat heavy between us, undeniable. I thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't, because when cowards lose control, they get dangerous. He lunged, grabbed my wrist, his grip tight, face red, eyes wild. The Jason I knew was gone. This wasn't some argument over dinner. This was rage. "You don't get to do this," he hissed. And for the first time in our marriage, I felt fear. Not because I thought he'd hit me, but because I saw what he was capable of becoming. Still, I pulled away, steadied my voice. "You did this to yourself." He let out a laugh, dry and sharp. "You think you're so clever, don't you?" "Stole my company, my life, you mean the company you let rot?" I snapped. "The life you tried to build with her?" Before he could say anything else, someone banged on the door, hard. We both froze. Then came the voice. "Jason, open the damn door!" Female, furious, and familiar. I turned to him. "You expecting someone?" He didn't answer, so I opened it. And there she was, Vanessa, pregnant, furious, and not here to play games. Vanessa didn't waste a second. The moment the door swung open, she stared right past me and locked eyes on Jason. Her face, pure betrayal, wrapped in rage. "You said she'd be gone," she shouted, one hand planted on her swollen belly, the other shaking with fury. "You promised me." I stepped aside and let her in. Why not? I wasn't the one with anything to hide. Jason looked like he'd seen a ghost. "Vanessa, this isn't—" "Don't," she snapped. "Don't even try." Then her eyes flicked over to me. For a moment she seemed unsure, nervous even. "You're the wife." I nodded. "Still am, for now." Vanessa laughed, bitter and sharp. "Wow. Just wow. Here's the thing, I didn't hate her. Not really. She didn't owe me anything. She wasn't the one who made vows. And judging by the growing storm on her face, she hadn't known the full story either." "How long?" I asked. She glanced at Jason, who looked like he was shrinking by the second. 3 years. 3. Years. I thought I'd been numb by now, but those 2 words still hit like a brick to the chest. I didn't say anything, just nodded. Let it settle. You told me you were getting a divorce, Vanessa said, voice trembling. You said it was just a matter of time. Jason finally found his voice. I am. But she moved faster than I thought. I didn't know she had this kind of control. You mean you didn't think I'd ever use it? I said quietly. Vanessa's eyes went wide. Wait, you're the one who cut the accounts? Yep, I said, still calm. He'd been skimming off the company for a while. Fancy condo, mystery expenses, wire transfers to you. I traced it all. She stepped back like I'd slapped her. You knew? And you still let me come here? I shrugged. I figured it was time we all got honest. Jason groaned and dropped into the nearest chair, head in his hands. I can't believe this is happening. No, I said. You just can't believe you're not in control anymore. Vanessa started pacing, mumbling to herself. Then she turned to Jason. So what was your plan? She demanded. Steal the money, ditch your wife, move me into the condo, and pretend like we just magically came into a small fortune. Jason didn't answer, but the look on his face said it all. He'd been planning to disappear. Leave me broke, clueless, blindsided. Probably vanish with Vanessa and the company funds before I even knew what hit me. Only I hit first. Vanessa caught on fast. You were never going to tell me, she whispered. You were just going to vanish. Leave me pregnant and broke. Still no denial. His silence was louder than any confession. Then she slapped him. Not dramatic, not over the top, just a clean, sharp slap that echoed in the living room. I gave up everything for you, she said, tears brimming in her eyes. And you were going to do the same thing to me you were doing to her. I couldn't help it. I felt bad for her. She'd been duped just like I had, played like a pawn in his long con. But the sympathy only went so far. You both need to go, I said. Now. Jason looked up at me, eyes wide. You're kicking me out of my own house? I shook my head slowly. No, Jason. I'm kicking you out of my house. Vanessa didn't argue. She grabbed her purse, wiped her face, and left without another word. Jason didn't move. He just sat there, like maybe if he waited long enough, I'd change my mind. Like if he looked sad enough, I'd feel something. But all I felt was done. You played the long game, huh? He said after a minute, his voice bitter. I raised an eyebrow. You mean like you did? Draining accounts behind my back, setting up a whole new life. He stood too fast, like he couldn't sit still with the weight of it all. You were never supposed to have power over me. I almost laughed. Yeah, well, life's full of surprises. Then he tried something I didn't expect. He begged. I lost everything, he said. Please, we can fix this. I'll sign over anything you want. Just don't throw away what we had. What we had, I repeated, stunned. Jason, you were literally funding another woman's life while lying to my face every day. His eyes darted around the room like he was searching for something, anything to hold on to. You're angry. I get it. But we were good, right? You loved me. I didn't answer. Because, yeah, I had loved him, the version of him I thought was real. But that version didn't exist anymore, maybe never did. I opened the front door. Get out. Lila, now. He left, not gracefully, not quietly, but he left. The fallout came fast. Claire predictably took her meltdown to social media. Posts about being backstabbed by family, about how I was a gold-digging fraud, how the company was stolen from her. And, just for good measure, she aired Jason's dirty laundry too. Apparently, loyalty had a shelf life. Her followers were divided. Some felt bad for her, others pointed out the obvious. She'd coasted for years. and treated everyone like garbage. Karma didn't need much help. Jason didn't take it well. He showed up at my office 2 days later. Security tried to stop him, but he shoved past them like a man possessed. "I want it undone," he growled, slamming his palms on my desk. I looked up from my screen, calm as ever. "Undo what?" "All of it. The access locks, the accounts. I want back in." I leaned back in my chair. "Why?" He looked genuinely confused. "Because it's mine." That's when I really laughed. "Jason, you spent years ghost running a business you never understood, let your sister run it into the ground, stole from it, and used the money to fund your little side romance. And now you want to come back?" His jaw clenched. "You ruined my life." "No," I said. "I just made sure you had to finally deal with it." He dropped to his knees, actually begged. Hands clasped like a prayer. I didn't even blink. "You're not sorry," I said. "You're just sorry you lost." Then I nodded to security. They dragged him out while he shouted promises, threats, and a few choice insults. None of it mattered. That part of my life was over. Claire tried to sue me. She lost. Jason tried to get reinstated at the company. He failed. Vanessa? Last I heard, she moved back to Ohio to be with her family. Good for her. As for me, I stayed. I rebuilt the company, cleaned up the mess, and surrounded myself with people who respected me not because I had power, but because I earned it. And for the first time in years, I woke up every day knowing I was in control. I wasn't a placeholder. I was the one holding the pen. After everything went down, after Jason was dragged out of my office, after Claire's online tantrum ran its course, after Vanessa disappeared into the rear view, I expected to feel relief. But that's not exactly what hit me. It was quieter than that, heavier, like walking through a field right after a storm. Everything soaked, bent out of shape, but still standing, still there. That's how I felt. Still standing, still here. The company needed work. Jason and Claire had left behind a mess that wasn't going to fix itself. Vendors hadn't been paid on time. Some contracts were missing signatures. A few employees had questions, side eyes, whispers. But I handled it, one meeting at a time, one invoice at a time. And slowly things settled. Not back to normal, something better than before. Something built with care this time, not ego. Funny thing is, once people realized I was the one running things, not just hiding in Jason's shadow, they respected me. Not all of them, some left, sure, but the ones who stayed, they saw the difference. Projects started moving faster. Clients came back. Numbers turned green again. Turns out, when you take the snakes out of the garden, everything grows a little easier. One afternoon, about a month after the fallout, I got a letter in the mail. Real paper. No return address. Just my name, in handwriting I didn't recognize. I opened it on the back porch, cup of tea in hand. The air was warm, cicadas humming in the trees. Peaceful. The letter was from Vanessa. She kept it short, just a few paragraphs. She apologized not for being with Jason, but for being part of something she didn't fully understand. She said she was back home with her parents. The baby was due in 2 months. She didn't ask for anything. No money, no drama, just closure. At the bottom she wrote, "I thought I knew him. I thought he was building something for us. But you were right. He was only ever building for himself. I'm sorry for what you went through. And thank you for letting me see it before it was too late." I sat with that for a while. Didn't write back. Didn't need to. But I appreciated it. Not because it changed anything, but because it reminded me that sometimes the people who hurt you aren't villains, they're just lost. And when they crash into your life, the damage isn't always personal. It just feels that way. A few weeks later, I saw Jason again. I was walking through the farmer's market, picking out peaches, when I caught him standing near the flower stall. He looked rough, unshaven, thinner, wearing a hoodie in July like he wanted to disappear. He saw me. Our eyes met. He didn't say anything, just nodded. I nodded back. That was it. No yelling, no apologies, no scenes. Just two people with too much history and nothing left to say. I don't know where he went after that. Don't care, really. Maybe he moved in with a friend. Maybe he found a job. Maybe he's still trying to figure out how everything fell apart. But me? I'm good. I kept the house. I had it quietly refinanced in my name after everything exploded. The paperwork was a nightmare, but I got it done. I replaced the dining room table, the one where Claire humiliated me, and Jason laughed. Got something bigger, sturdier, something that feels like mine. Started cooking again. Not for anyone else, just for me. Chicken curry, roasted vegetables, little lemon tarts one hadn't made in years. Music in the background, wine when I felt like it. There's a joy in the little things. The stuff I forgot about when I was too busy tiptoeing around someone else's comfort. People sometimes ask if I'm going to date again. Maybe, but I'm not in a rush. Right now, it's enough to just be alone and not feel lonely. There's a difference, and I only just learned it. I don't miss the chaos. I don't miss the pretending. I don't miss the silence that used to fill every corner of our house like fog. Now, when I sit in that silence, it's peaceful, not empty. And that's something no one ever gave me. I built that myself. One last thing. Remember the company, Lux Renovations? It's thriving. We picked up 3 new commercial clients this quarter, expanded into 2 new cities, and I brought in a new operations lead who actually knows what they're doing. Best hire I've ever made. Claire? Last I heard, she was trying to start her own interior design firm. She posted a bunch of launch coming soon stories online. Nothing's launched yet. Jason? His name's still technically on a few old contracts, but legally he has no rights, no power. Just memories and missed chances. There's no part of me that wants revenge anymore. I got that already. What I want now is peace. And I have it. If there's one thing I've learned through all this, it's that being underestimated isn't a weakness. It's a weapon if you know how to use it. So to anyone reading this who's ever been treated like they were second best, like a placeholder or a backup plan, here's my advice, smile, nod, let them laugh, then build quietly, plan carefully. And when the time is right, remind them who you really are.